All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D Daryl Ortiz. We are on the road to WrestleMania. 3 weeks, I want to say 3 weeks out. Yeah, roughly.
Yeah,
April
about
20th,
3. Yep.
21st. So about 3 weeks. And I was saying, Big D, it feels like we're on the killing time till WrestleMania calendar, is
Pretty
really how
much.
Raw and SmackDown feels at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty much just like the home stretch. Now we're just kind of like in cruise control right now, just making sure all the feuds are lining up correctly, making sure all the stipulations start. But see, this is the next couple of weeks are going to be the fun part because this is when all the stipulations come out. This is when all the little hidden nuances come out. We could talk about that more in SmackDown, but yeah, it's pretty much the downside to it. Though is the shows aren't going to be very full of wrestling as much as they normally are. Understandably so. We got to build feuds, we got to build storylines, and make sure everyone understands what's going on. So that being said, we just had John Cena come out, right, and Raw just kind of tearing down the crowd again. Typical, same old thing, not typical, but same thing that he said last time. Just pretty much reiterating, like, I told you, this is, you guys are proving me right, this and that. I like that he kind of leaned into the kid one, where like he, because that became like a whole. But like
he made, about the kid, yeah.
I mean, he made a valid point. He's like, that was like the highest viewed thing on WWE's like in social media, and y'all liked it. He's like, "This, what's wrong with you guys?"
WWE posted it, and I was like, "Well, yeah, it's true." Everybody like loved that moment where he's like just absolutely roasting this poor kid.
Yeah, some random kid just showed up for the first time, probably. It's like, what did I do? But I mean, yeah, and then of course Cody Rhodes comes out. Typical face dynamic. Again, if you notice, he kind of do something different with the lighting. Like whenever Cody comes out, they have like all the lights on him, and then leave Cena like in the dark. Normally they'll have a couple lights on for like the other competitor, but like they literally have them like in the dark, kind of showing like the light in the darkness. So little small things that I like to see and pay attention to. But nothing more said here that wasn't already said before. Pretty much just building up again to the next match. I think you had mentioned it that he did say that if he wins, he's gonna retire, and kind of typical
he's retiring
heel thing
with the belt. He's taking the belt and he's going home with it, and then the next one that gets made will be a fake belt, and he's retiring. And I just feel like they're painting themselves into a corner now, because I keep thinking in the back of my head, okay, you've already said that he's gonna finish out the year. And now it's like, well, if I win it, I'm just quitting. Well, then he's clearly not going to beat Cody Rhodes. He's clearly not going to win here, and he's going to finish out the rest of the year. So it's telegraphing a little too much. Also, how do you possibly do a face turn again? With the way that he's run down the crowd 2 weeks in a row, just talking about how he hates them and how awful. How are you going to do an about face on that and try to switch him back to a face? Or are you just going to write him out as a heel for the rest of the time that he's here? I feel like they've really painted themselves into a corner here.
Well, as far as like a face turn, the only way I can see that happening, and I know it's a long shot, but I would say it would have to be probably him turning on The Rock. Because he can spin it as like The Rock had something on me, and I kind of play it like he was being like blackmailed or blackballed into it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a stretch. It's a stretch, yes, but in my opinion, that'd probably be the easiest way to do it, because once he turns on The Rock, then the crowd will get behind him again. But I don't know. We'll see. I did see in one of the shows that they're going to honor for the Hall of Fame. They're going to recognize the Bret Hart Stone Cold match.
Stone Cold match, yeah.
Which means that Stone Cold will be in the building. And last I heard, Stone Cold's been in shape. He's been working out. What if, he does try, there are some shenanigans with The Rock. And I know you mentioned like Cody winning. Maybe the way he wins is The Rock tries to come out to ensure John Cena wins, and we have a nice little Stone Cold session come out, and he takes out The Rock for him.
Yeah.
And then him and Cena kind of stand face to face for just that brief moment, so that we can kind of get our palates wet, and then nothing's really going to happen with that match. But then it's enough for Cody to kind of get back up and power back, and that's how he'll retain. But
there's just a good possibility that they'll do that. I hope not, because it would almost be like a rinse and repeat from the previous year, where you had like all the rundowns, and it's like, don't do it again.
But it wouldn't be the first time they do that.
Yeah, totally not. There's a lot of copy.
They do it every week. What are you talking about?
Every between Raw and SmackDown, copy paste segments. So totally could do it year over year. I hope they don't. Yeah, this for me, I'm just wondering where they go with it, because I feel like they double down too much on him insulting, because he has not called out Cody yet. John Cena has not called out Cody. He hasn't said anything about Cody. It's all been about the fans. Even when Cody came down and faced off with him,
Well, I
he
mean,
said
he won the
nothing.
Rumble, so he's entitled, I guess.
Well, but he hasn't like gone after Cody on the promos. Like I was expecting John to go after and talk about Cody Rhodes and run him down,
like run him down. Yeah,
run him down. He hasn't run after Cody. All he's done is run down the crowd and run down the fans 2 weeks in a row. And then as soon as he got face to face with Cody, where Cody's like, "I'm not going to let you talk to these good people like this," and then he just dropped the microphone and left. And it was like, okay, are you waiting? Because I think he's got one more appearance, right? Like one final appearance before WrestleMania. Is he waiting for that final appearance to really run down Cody in that one? And that's going to be it. And then he disappears off TV until WrestleMania. Maybe. I hope so. Do something. It's like you got to turn this on Cody at some point. But I don't know. I'm not wild about how they're setting this one up. But Cena's been very entertaining. Like with what they've given him. Of course he's entertaining. He's cut really strong promos both times. I'm just not really sure about the direction from like a storytelling standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, he could be saving it for later on, his last appearance and running down. I also was kind of thinking about it too. I noticed that his theme music stood the same, and he's saying you don't deserve new music, whatever. But what if he's just waiting for WrestleMania to drop his new look, his new music, or whatever? Because that's usually what happens too. We sometimes get new music.
Well, you get like all the pageantry of like the big WrestleMania entrance.
Yeah, so maybe that too. But I think back to the whole Cody thing. I mean, maybe he just plays it as that he feels he's better than him, and he doesn't feel like he needs to even recognize him.
Maybe.
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see what happens. What we didn't have to wait for was reuniting of the Usos, as we had been wanting. Yeah, it was funny because they're like, "Oh, Jey Uso's going to take on both members of A-Town Down with a surprise tag team teammate." I'm like, his brother. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Jimmy ain't doing anything.
Too hard to telegraph.
Jimmy's just sitting there losing to Gunther and Drew. Like, I mean, he has nothing else to do. But it was nice to see them back in action together. I really did miss seeing them like work together like that in that aspect as a tag team. Yeah. I missed their old intro. I don't know, call me whatever. Like when they'll come out and do the haka and then like, you know, hit their music. Like always loved that entrance of theirs. I mean, of course the music now is great too, but I just It was great to see them come out together, and they came out to Jay's song, which was cool. And in all honesty, Jay's song is the better one of the two. I feel like Jimmy got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, true.
I mean, although Jimmy's song is, I mean, it's still good, but I just prefer Jay's a little bit better. Obviously, it's a little more catchy. In that aspect, of course, they obviously won. They took down A-Town Down Under. And they hit the 1D, which was nice to see as well. We hadn't seen that move in a while. They hit the 1D, so I like that. It's cool to see that they're intertwining Jimmy into Jay's storyline again, and they're kind of having him there. For a minute there, it looked like they were trying to turn him against his brother again by kind of like sowing little seeds with like Gunther and Drew talking to him and all that. But I'm curious to see how that plays it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Jimmy's taking on Gunther next week, which also just feels like it's more of they're stalling for time.
Yeah.
Until WrestleMania. So I totally get it. And it was fun to see them together. Obviously, you knew there was never going to be any real doubt they were going to beat A-Town Down Under. And it's just, again, kind of continuing that storyline. Jimmy was the one that ran Gunther off with the chair when Gunther came down to attack.
Yeah, because Gunther was going to do the attack from behind, and Jimmy came in with the chair to save him. So.
Yeah, so he came in. So, I mean, it was all solid stuff, all good stuff.
Yep. And then we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between Lyra Valkyria and Raquel Rodriguez. Yeah, I kind of didn't think they were going to take the title off of Lyra. Although Raquel will be a good champion, I think, because she's like that powerhouse, you know, and she's aligned really well with Liv. She doesn't really have to talk much because Liv will do the talking for them. I thought, you know, she had a decent shot, but obviously not. They were saving that. Who knows what that's going to lead to? But Lyra continued her undefeated streak as champion, obviously, because she's still there. It ended with Raquel trying to hit the Tejana bomb, but she turned it into a pinfall, which was like a surprise roll up. Yeah, not a fan of it. Yeah, not a fan of it. However, in that kind of aspect, I guess for me, it's different when you have like the taller, more powerful wrestler versus like the more shorter one that's not as powerful. It makes sense because they're just trying to pin him and get out of there because they don't want to, you know, risk anything else. But yeah, so I mean, it was fine. It was an okay match, nothing crazy.
Yeah, it was solid. It was good. Bailey out for the save. Yeah, checked all the boxes.
Yeah, Bailey came in, prevented the whole little beatdown, which I think that's something's telling me that we're gonna have Bailey and Lyra for the Intercontinental title.
Probably. Well, if it's a bummer that feels like they're always trying to look for something for Bailey to do at this point. She kind of
She's
jobs out to everybody
phenomenal. I
now.
don't
She's
know.
great.
Yeah, I don't know what's taking so long.
Yeah, it's strange to me. She's just kind of floating right now and kind of being a jobber for everybody.
Well,
kind of
right now
how,
she's being a hero. She's saving Lyra, but I think that's
yeah,
gonna add up, and she's gonna try and give her a title match. And I mean, I kind of want heel Bailey back.
I do. I was hoping she was going to be the one that orchestrated the attack on Jade Cargill originally because I was just like, let's get back to heel Bailey, but no shots, no such luck.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. We had the brawl between Io Sky, Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley. That's pretty much getting old already. I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but it really is. I feel like it sucks because I feel they're making Io kind of like an afterthought because the main focus is going to be on Rhea and Bianca Belair. And I feel like the original plan was for it to be Bianca and Rhea at Mania.
Yeah.
And for some reason or another, whether it be contract negotiate, I don't know. It's not contract because she's not up for her contract. But I don't know. I don't know what happened, but they put Io as a champion and they're kind of plugging her into. And it's I hate to say it like this, but I feel like she's the champion, but she feels like it feels like she's the one being plugged into the match.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Like
It
you know what I
does.
mean? Like she's the square peg going in the round hole in this
Yeah.
trio. It's weird, you know. It's she's the champion. Like I feel like they haven't been presenting her very well, and it's a shame because
Well,
Io
and she
is
got pushed in the face again, pushed down again this week. It was like the same rinse and repeat. They treated her like a little kid. And now, instead of being a triple threat, next week it's going to be Io versus Rhea for the women's world title. So they gave Rhea her title match, and then the winner is going to face Bianca, and then Bianca's the special guest referee next week. So I'm like, okay, so what are they going to do? I'm assuming Bianca's not going to count for Rhea, and it's going to she's going to rip her off again, and they're going to make Io look bad again, and they're eventually going to get us into this triple threat, right? Like that's definitely going to happen. Because at first I'm like, oh, they got a chance to resolve it next week, but this
yeah.
will clearly end unresolved.
It will because I think Bianca might let her temper get the best of her because they've been showing her lose her temper a little bit more,
Yeah,
and so I think she's probably just gonna hit Rhea with like a KOD and then pull Io over and count the pin,
and count the pin.
and
Yeah,
then that's gonna make Adam Pierce have to like put her in. I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not a fan of it because it just negates the whole point of the Elimination Chamber. I mean,
Well,
maybe I'm the only one that doesn't
they're
want to see
doing
it.
that. They're doing that all over WrestleMania this year. So they negated the Elimination Chamber, and we'll talk about it a little later. They negated the men's Rumble winner in some ways too. So I feel like WWE is now kind of throwing all their own rules out the window. And that's a little bit disappointing. And I get it's their business; they can change the rules and do things differently if they want to. But you can't create traditions and then kind of just walk all over them.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on it.
Then there's no point to it.
No.
Just
Yeah,
leave it
it takes
out.
the
Don't
mystique
add
away.
that stipulation. Just make that match just a match.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we did get a nice redirecting here. We did get a nice video package for El Grande Americano, Chad Gable.
Hailing
I
from the
love,
Gulf of America. Oh,
yeah,
like, this is great.
that was a nice touch that he's from the Gulf of America. I'm like, wow. But it was a nice, obviously it's Chad Gable. We know that, but I just love how I think Chad Gable busted out with a sick note that says he can't wrestle. And so I'm loving it. But he did really well against Dragon Lee. It was a good match. It was a nice back and forth.
Yeah,
I
it was
really
my
enjoyed
match of the
match.
night. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, same here. It was so good. I loved it. It was so much fun. And I don't like the ending because obviously Dragon Lee lost his mask. He pulled the mask off, took advantage.
Put
It's
him in
heel.
the angle lock. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, again, I get what they're trying to do, so I'm liking it very much, and we'll see how it continues. I'm waiting for the reveal for it to be Chad Gable, or else he's going to be just continuously not saying it's him. But we'll see. I enjoyed it. I was very much wrestling entertained.
Very much so. It was a fun match, and the whole video package and the lead up to it with El Grande Americano being this historic luchador was like, for me, it was like ridiculous in all the best kind of ways.
Yeah, it was. It was just over the top. The way they edited that video, that was great. I loved it. Had CM Punk come out to address Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Nothing much there. Just typical CM Punk promo.
We'll sign the contract in London. That was it.
Yeah, like I'll see you guys in London. It was just pretty much just to tell everyone that they're going to do the contract signing in London. It is what it is. This this is where it got interesting. We had Intercontinental Championship match between Braun Breaker and Penta. I was excited for Penta to have the title opportunity. Obviously, I knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah,
because it's a title match on Raw. Doesn't really happen that often. Occasionally, lately it has, but not recently. Oh yeah, it has recently. Well, still,
recently,
either way.
but I mean, historically they don't, and
I didn't expect
they've
Penta
already
to win.
done that a couple of times with Braun. I'm like, they're gonna let Braun have a little bit of longer reign now. So
yeah, I think because they want him to go for the championship, the main championship, and they're just waiting right now. So they kind of got to give him something to do. But
yeah,
I kind of knew he wasn't going to win just because of the fact that you had Dominic trying to pull Penta into their fold and then into Judgment Day, and you had Finn Balor opposed to it, but Finn Balor disappeared or wasn't talking to them. He was angry with them because they cost him his match. So naturally, I was like, okay, one of the two things is going to happen. He's going to turn them down and he's going to get jumped, or Finn Balor's going to interfere. And we had both. we had it was a pretty fun match to start, and then it was interrupted with Judgment Day coming down, Dom and Carlito coming out to just kind of, cheer on Penta, trying to convince him to join Judgment Day. And then, of course, it ended in a DQ. Oh, excuse me. It ended in a DQ. Who was it? I want to say it was, Carlito and Dominic interrupted and got in it. So it was a disqualification. They attacked Braun Breaker. And then Finn Balor came out to beat down Braun Breaker as well with a steel chair. Then Dominic handed Penta the chair to beat him down, but Penta turned on Judgment Day, of course, because he's a big time babyface right now. So again, that was his declining, but then he also got beat down, and then the heel stood tall. That's how we closed the show. The reason I was okay with this is because this is setting up a triple threat. Of course, I know we have like 20 triple threats already, but we have a triple threat for the Intercontinental title at Mania. But it's the competitors that I'm more enticed over. Is we're gonna have Penta versus Braun versus Finn, and I'm hoping it's Demon Finn. And if it's Demon Finn, let him take that title because it's Demon Finn.
I don't know. I feel like you're gonna have another Dom betrayal at WrestleMania. We'll see, or like you're gonna have something go down because they almost came to blows here. Like Finn like held up the chair like he was gonna hit Dom with it at one point during that exchange, and then they got on the same page and worked together. So I feel like that's coming. I wonder if you obviously have interference from the Judgment Day. Do you have them turn on Finn at some point? And if he's
on his way out,
if he's Demon King, like you can't really do that. Or please don't have them turn on him while he's Demon King and nullify that a little bit. But we'll see. I think it'll be a great match. I think it'll be a great match for Mania to have those three involved. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just kind of wondering how they're gonna, from a storytelling aspect, what they're gonna do here.
Yeah, I mean, and at the end of the day, too, it's going to be entertaining. But I would think maybe if Finn does win as Demon King, then maybe we have him on his own depart from the Judgment Day, and as a result, that's where they set up that feud and beat down and all that. But then again, who in Judgment Day can actually compete with Finn? I mean, Dom's been getting better, but he ain't that much better to go against Finn.
True.
But yeah, that's pretty much how Raw ended. Again, nothing too much going on, nothing too crazy. Just setting up, lining up the pieces, lining up the dominoes for WrestleMania. That's pretty much how Raw happened. I guess pretty much almost the same thing at SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken.
It really was very similar. Like we opened with Cody Rhodes. There was no John Cena on SmackDown. Cody Rhodes came out and he got interrupted by Randy Orton of all people. And it was Randy doing a big, giving him his flowers, telling him how great he is. And then basically said, like, once I'm done decapitating Kevin Owens at WrestleMania, I'm going to come from number 15. So I'm like, okay, you're already setting the seeds here for Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. And which I think makes sense also because they're clearly setting the seeds for the heel turn with Randy Orton, with he's hearing the voices again. He keeps almost punting Kevin Owens. And then you had Drew McIntyre come out and do the interruption, ran everybody down on the microphone. Segment was over, and that set up Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, which was going to happen later on in the evening, and that was really just the catalyst for that. It was fine. I mean, it was more of a, hey, once we're done with WrestleMania, we'll get there, but it didn't do anything to advance the storyline for WrestleMania between Cody and, what am I blanking here? John Cena. So it was fine. The segment took a while just with all the cheering.
Yeah. They're singing Cody forever.
Yeah, a lot of serenading for Cody, a lot of serenading for Randy Orton. So it was like,
Yeah.
wow, we spent like 25 minutes on this and not really much came out of it. It was fine.
They set up the match, I guess, for
Yeah.
Randy and Drew. So I mean,
So it was okay. And then we got what I really thought was my match of the night was Street Profits versus Pretty Deadly, which came right after this one for the tag titles. This one was really, really strong. I love the fact that they continue to make Pretty Deadly look good and not look comical and actually look like a threat.
yeah.
There were a bunch of near falls. Eventually, Street Profits did hit the Doomsday Blockbuster to retain. They got a clean win. So this one, match of the night, a lot of fun. Love what they're doing with Pretty Deadly here, where you can still have comedy and you can still have fun, but you can still make them a threat.
I agree. It kind of reminds me of like the later stages of Fandango and
The Fashion Police, right?
yes, the Fashion Police. Thank you. Yeah, it kind of reminds me because at the beginning they were just a joke, but then once they started like actually like Tyler Breeze and Fandango started like hitting their stride, it was great. Because you had the best of both worlds. I think that's what they're it's there now
They're
for.
hitting that. Yeah, they're hitting that stride now, which is awesome.
Yeah, and I love it. And I feel like this could also be setting up, I guess, the consistent rotation of competitors because there's, obviously all these tag teams that want in on the tag title. I wouldn't mind a ladder match, a multi-team ladder match for Mania. I feel like we don't have one set up yet. Hint, hint, wink, wink. I think this will probably be it. And it'll be amazing.
Likely.
It would be probably amazing just because of who all would be involved in it. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
That'd be a lot of fun. And then we got a Katana Chance and Caden Carter sighting.
Yeah.
They
aren't missing.
like, hey, they're here and they're here to get jobbed out to the Secret Her. This really was just a vehicle for you've got Piper, Isla Dawn coming out and doing the Secret Harvest thing, and it was fine. There was lots of distractions from Chelsea Green. Piper hit a Piper driver, and then they won. So Secret Harvest got their first official win as a tag team at the expense of Carter and Chance. It was fine. Selena Vega ran down and assisted them afterwards. So I'm sure we got a triple threat or a 6-woman tag match coming up soon to set the table for the eventual Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green for the Women's United States Championship. Like that's clearly they're checking all the boxes to get there. It's like, let's all team together next week, and then we'll see when they do the payoff for the title match.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we haven't had a U.S. title defense yet. That's kind of interesting. I was hoping we'd have more of it, and the Secret Harvest being involved in some form or fashion. Which again, I would not be opposed to because that's the whole point of having backup, right? But I haven't seen any of it. Instead, I guess what they're trying to do is build up the Secret Harvest as a formidable tag, which they will be. I mean, it's Alba Fire and Piper Niven. I mean, they're going to be great. So it's just a matter of maybe I don't know. Maybe they're going to put the tag titles on them. That'd be a powerful faction.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be opposed to that. So I guess we'll just have to wait
cool.
and see. Zelina, though, we'll see what happens with her. I think they're trying to line her up for the U.S. title, but
yeah,
as the next contender, I guess.
But it's like as the next contender, definitely. Hopefully, they let Chelsea Green have a little bit of a title run, though. It'd be nice if she had some stability there. And speaking of title runs, we got a Braun Strowman versus LA Knight for the U.S. Championship. Speaking of U.S. Championships as well, this one wasn't a very long match because it predictably ended with Jacob Fatu attacking Strowman, and it was a DQ. This was a bummer for me because LA Knight was really kind of just a backdrop for Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman because Fatu then just destroyed Strowman again with a series of hip attacks and moonsaults and just like ran him over and destroyed him. And the crowd was going nuts for him. The crowd was cheering him like he was a babyface, which deservedly so. He's awesome. But it's odd that LA Knight goes kind of relegated to second banana. He's the U.S. champion. And that was a little bit of a bummer to me, but it was a fun segment. It's always cool to see Fatu come out and wreck somebody.
It is, and Jacob's super over, which is great. I just don't like the only thing I don't like about all this is going to set up another triple threat.
Yeah, it will.
I mean,
like there's already too many potential triple threats on the horizon. So
it's triple threat mania.
There's a lot of them happening. They're gonna too many multi-person matches.
And the match was going great. I think it was fine.
It was good.
It was going good,
solid,
but just
solid stuff.
I mean, you knew it was coming. We were just waiting for it. I think the match was like a whole like 8 minutes or something like that, and it got blown up.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and speaking of multi-person mess, so we got a dramatic pre-recorded promo with Naomi kind of rebranding herself as a heel. She's got new gear, a new look and everything as well. Like she looked very different than how she has historically. She's not doing the glow thing anymore. It doesn't look like. I like it. I think it's a cool look. But so this kind of played out with It was supposed to be Meechin versus Charlotte Flair. And so Meechin heads down to the ring, and then Naomi ambushed her during her entrance. And then at that point, Jade Cargill ran down to attack Naomi, and then Naomi ran away. And then Charlotte started coming out for her entrance because there was still a match between her and Meechin. And Jade and her kind of did like a sizing each other up moment on the top of the ramp, which I would have been excited to see before. But I'm not really that excited to see that anymore, just because I feel like Charlotte's return has been a little lackluster for me.
Yeah, it has.
So Charlotte goes out and then has another 50-50 match with a mid-carder.
I'm about to say, good Lord, how many of these are we going to have?
Yeah, and I was like, she should have crushed Meechin. She should have destroyed her.
Well, okay, hold on. Sorry,
okay,
but
yeah, go ahead.
She should have crushed her, considering that Naomi obliterated her before the match.
Yeah,
the ref was like, "You can't go." She's like, "I can go." And the ref's like, "All right, ring their bell." That should have been like a 3-minute squash match where Flair just destroys her, hits the figure 8, and walks out like nothing. That's what should have happened.
Yeah,
that's what should have happened.
Instead, you got a very 50-50 match where Meechin looked great and Charlotte was struggling the whole time. She did, of course, again, win with the figure 8 as expected.
Eventually.
And she struggled. So I'm like, why are you doing this to Charlotte? You're making her look very pedestrian. And like, she doesn't seem like a real threat at all, at least to me. So I wasn't a huge fan of this. And then you got just Tiffany doing a backstage promo about, I'm going to beat you, Charlotte. Like very, very by the book. So this was a downside to me in the show.
Same.
And then what I thought was going to be super, super fun was Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. And it was okay. It was fine. It was good. I mean, I think we all kind of knew this wasn't going to go the distance, and we knew something was going to happen here with Kevin Owens. Like as it was starting, I was like, we're going to get Kevin Owens interfering. And he did. It was just more him coming down and creating a distraction. Creates a distraction. Drew hits the Claymore off the distraction and wins. KO and Randy Orton still hate each other heading into WrestleMania. Randy Orton was going to try to get him with a punt, and then he snuck out. KO tried to do the package pile driver on the announce desk first, and then Randy escaped, and then he was going to try to do a punt, and then KO escaped. And it was fine. It was okay. Yeah. I don't know if I needed it.
Yeah, I mean, and what was more frustrating is that Randy Orton was already closing the match out. Like he was coiled up for the RKO. He was getting ready to hit it, and then he got distracted. And I'm like, dude, where's your veteran savvy? Just hit the move, get the hit. By the time Kevin gets down to the ramp, these ramps are ridiculously long now. By the time he gets down the ramp, like you're good. Yeah, like you're good. I mean, I don't.
And he wasn't doing a run out either. He was just kind of walking.
Yeah, he was just walking. That's what I'm saying. Like he wasn't running. So it's like hit the RKO, get the pin. Like hit the RKO, see where he's at, get the pin, and you're done. Like
you're done. That's it. That's all you need. And then kind of to pile on to the lacklusterness of SmackDown, we got like the Ray Phoenix video package again, where they just stuck his name on the end, and they're like, "Yeah, Tim, he's here,
and he's coming next week." Yeah,
we'll see you on SmackDown next week, Ray Phoenix. And it was like, okay, talk about anticlimactic. Like you knew it was him on the first one. Then they just.
I mean, in all fairness, they did the same thing to Penta.
Yeah, well, no, I know they did. But it was just like, after all that, and you're putting him on SmackDown, and Penta's going to be on Raw, so you're not going to have the Lucha Bros together initially. You're going to do the singles.
Eventually.
Eventually, they'll get them back together. But I was just like, I feel less excited about this than I thought I would, just because of the way they handled it.
My only fear is that because it's so close to Mania, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, have him start just a random feud with somebody, I guess. I don't know. The Miz, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Miz needs a dance partner because he and Jimmy Uso faced off abruptly as well. It was fine. He hit the Uso splash for the win. He beat the Miz. And then he called out Gunther on Monday night, so he's going over. Like, Jimmy's staying busy. I guess he's got the bills to pay because he had the tag match on Raw. He fought the Miz on SmackDown, and he's going back to Raw on Monday. Again, the brand split doesn't really matter anymore. And he's going to face Gunther on Monday night. So, but yeah, that's what happened there.
Yeah, I agree. It wasn't really much. It was...
Yeah. Which leads us to the main event of the night, which was the closing segment. And this is really probably the most important thing that happened. Contract signing between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. So I'll say a couple of things here. I won't give a play-by-play of what happened, but for me, there was a great promo between Seth and Roman. The crowd was loving Roman Reigns, and they were giving all the kudos and respect they could to the tribal chief and serenading him and doing all that. He was eating it up as well, which is kind of cool to see. everyone signs the contract. Seth comes out and runs down Roman. CM Punk comes out and starts thumbing through the contract. And then he's like, hey, it's in there. Don't worry about it. What are you reading it? Just go to page 5. It's in there. And then Paul Heyman comes out and says, or scoots over and just says, basically that match is going to be the closing match at WrestleMania. It is going to be the main event, presumably day 1, because
night 1. Yeah, it's night 1.
Yeah. So night 1, presumably. But does that whole thing, and CM Punk's got a tear in his eye, and then he's like, there's the favor, that's it. Now CM Punk did clarify that's not the favor.
Yeah, it's not the favor.
He said that's not the favor, and that was it. So that was what really happened. That was the most significant thing here that happened. I was a little taken aback because for me, it's stupid to make this the main event on the day 1, night 1 of WrestleMania, for a few reasons. Because in doing this to kind of appease CM Punk, because he's always wanted to headline WrestleMania, you've now said this triple threat has more value and is more important than the Men's World Championship match, than either the Women's World Championship or the WWE Women's Championship match. It's more important than the Royal Rumble winner, because my whole understanding of the person who wins the Men's Rumble is punching their ticket for WrestleMania, and they headline WrestleMania. That has always been what they've said. Cody Rhodes, last year headlined both nights. He was in the tag match on night 1, and then he was in the main event on night 2. Are they trying to make up for it? Like, well, we did 2. He gets none this year. This just tells me that you don't really believe in Jey Uso anymore, and you don't really believe that the world title's that big of a deal. And you're like, yeah, you know what? CM Punk, everyone that's involved in that triple threat is more important and means more than the world title. So I hated this for those reasons. And I feel like now you really are saying that the world title is just a secondary championship to the WWE title, is all you're saying. And Jay's win isn't that significant. And, he wasn't the right person to win the Royal Rumble. So, that's that feels terrible to me. Didn't like it. But what were your thoughts, Big D?
So I got to make a correction. Cena won the chamber match, not Royal Rumble. That's my bad. I'm sure somebody already commented about that, but that's okay. My bad. But my guess to this is maybe, the old adage, in wrestling, you either want to go first or last. So my guess is probably Gunther and Jay are going to go first on night 1. And then you'll have this triple threat headline 1. Night 2, you'll probably have, but see, here's the thing. And I hate to do this. I get your point.
Yeah.
But Cody and Cena is obviously main eventing night 2.
Has to.
That has to. That's going to be night 2. But if we're being honest, and I'm not being facetious, I'm not trying to be like a jerk or anything like that, but are we really excited to see Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton?
I mean,
we know Tiffany's going to win. I feel Tiffany's going to win. I hope to God Tiffany wins.
I hope so. Yeah.
Now let's go to the next title match. Io Sky, who they've been just pushing down, versus Bianca Belair. As it stands right now, Bianca's going to win.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a triple threat, Bianca or Rhea is going to win. I don't think I want to close out any of the nights on that.
Well, yeah, but that's because they wrote it that way.
I know, but that's why. I guess that's why to me it makes sense. Like, I'm like, I get it, because this is essentially a blood feud. Yeah, they should have booked it better. Yeah, they should have booked it right the first time. I feel they shouldn't. The potential would have been more in Charlotte coming back as a monster heel and just dominating like she always does, and then giving Tiffany a good title match, and that would be a proper main event for WrestleMania. I feel for the triple threat, I mean, you shouldn't have had Io just look like a total kid, throwing a tantrum each time Bianca and Ripley start getting in each other's face. That is not helping her. So I get it. They wrote themselves that way, and it sucks, and it's a shame. But at the end of the day, I guess I get it. And then I was gonna say too, I know it was an emotional thing for CM Punk, obviously Paul Heyman, whatever. But he said that wasn't the favor. How? And again, I know this is far-fetched. I like to say the most far-fetched stuff I can think of just because it's fun. What if during the triple threat, they're going at it and they're all gassed, and then he looks at Paul Heyman, they give some kind of smile to each other, and then Brock's music hits.
Yeah, that's possible.
And then Brock just comes down and absolutely destroys Roman and Seth. and then shakes Paul Heyman's hand and then walks away. And then CM Punk just picks the bones. It won't look good for CM Punk, obviously, because he needed help, but that would be a hell of a favor. I mean, we haven't seen Brock. There's been rumors that he's there's been rumors circulating that he's going to be back, but and he was a Paul Heyman guy too, so it makes sense. He was,
and it makes sense. But my thing though is like, and I think they very well potentially could do that. Problem is, there's nothing on the line. Like it's
not for Brock. Yeah, no, it's not for a title.
Well, there's not for a title. So where because CM Punk's made the case of neither one of you have beaten me one-on-one, and you can't. He keeps
and they're not going to because it's a triple threat.
It's a triple threat. So
yeah,
like they've been playing into that. So that way it's not like, oh, it's cheap if somebody comes and helps them with the triple threat. But there's nothing on the line. Like it would make more sense if they had kept the title on Seth Rollins and he's still the world champion. And then if you're going to do that, then you had CM Punk win the Rumble and call out Rollins, and then you just work Roman Reigns into that. And you make it a triple threat for the world title. And then it's more compelling than it is for a world championship. There's something else on the line. I could see CM Punk doing that, and he walks away best in the world with the world title. Since there's no title there, it all just feels a little hollow to me.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is a grudge match.
Yeah, it's really just a grudge match. But
yeah, a grudge match that is going to be main eventing WrestleMania when you have all of these other very deserving people. And you've also just set these stipulations up that these people should be in the main event. And they're not. So, I don't know. I'm sure it's wonderful and it'll be great. And yes, I know I don't know what I'm talking about. And yes, I know I don't run WWE and they make better decisions than I do. And I should just shut my mouth and enjoy the booking, as Triple H likes to say.
But that's the beauty about being out here in this wonderful world that we live in. We can say whatever.
I can complain. Exactly. I can complain about it. And guess what? You don't. Nobody has the right to say you're not allowed to complain about our product. No, we can. Like they clearly wrote themselves into a lot of corners with a lot of these storylines, which is why they're feeling compelled to make this change now. Just book it better. That's all they had to do from the start.
But, yeah. Well, they're hiring writers. I saw that. A buddy of mine sent me that link.
No, send our applications in. Dust off that resume, Big D.
Woo. It's a little old. I might need one of them. What was that? I'm gonna use the Chat GPT, or I'll just
Chat GPT. Use AI. It'll brush it up for me, man. Well, that was
make me a writer in WWE.
I know. Say, can you make this compelling?
I don't need the stress. I got enough gray. I'm good.
I know, right? Yeah, that was the week that was. So we're going to continue that rundown to WrestleMania, man. It's going to be fast and furious for the next 3 weeks, but hopefully we'll get a few curveballs and some interesting little nuances as we head into it. But that's what we got for this week, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate the support as always. Thank you again. Please comment. Let us know if we're doing good, doing bad. I just want to talk about wrestling. We always love to hear from all of you. So thank you all again for the support. And until next week, I've been Michael D'Angelo. He's been Big D Daryl Ortiz. Have a great week, everybody.